All right. Welcome to Rich Conversations. I am joined by Lakshman Srinivasan. Welcome back to the show.
Hey guys, it's good to be back. Thank you for inviting me, Rich.
Yeah, we were just chatting before the recording. It's been like 2 years, and so
Yeah,
much happens in 2 years, doesn't it?
yeah, it does. It does. I think I was a novice back then, even though I was doing my PhD. But you know, a lot has happened in my life in the past 2 years, and I have the feeling that a lot has happened in Rich's life too, because he's running for president.
This is true. This is true. Okay, we were talking about Paris. So now you're in Montpasny, Pasture?
Montparnasse,
Nice. And
Montparnasse.
you're
Yeah.
in like a startup incubator in that area. What's what's
Yeah.
what's the startup scene in Paris like?
It's actually really broad, and investors are very open here in investing in early stage startup companies because usually you understand that when you go to the US, you can attract more VCs and investors because the startup scene is huge.
Yeah.
But you get that kind of trust and traction in the US only when the scene is that you've already established your prototype or your product or in terms of software. And then you get enough traction, you go to the seed, then investors are actually interested in you. But in
Yeah.
Paris, people are more interested in investing in the earlier stage, which is pre-seed.
Okay.
So they just are interested in the vision a bit more. And so what you have
Mm.
in Agronov is like it's a three or four floor building, which is completely comprised of early stage startups.
Okay.
And the scene is that initially you're in the ground floor, and as you progress, to pre-seed, seed, you actually move up and you have your own offices. So it's very pedagogical. I love that, but it kind of creates a separation barrier between really successful startups and non-successful startups. I mean, I wouldn't say non-successful, but very, very early stage startups who are not
Yeah.
able to raise. But it's also exciting, It kind of makes you wonder that okay, you have something to look forward to, so you need to work a lot, right?
This is true, but in Paris, there's only like 6 floors a building.
Yeah, that's true. I
You
think
can only go so high, apparently.
uh, the tallest tower. So I'm in Montparnasse. So the tallest tower is a big black tower here, which is very close. It's called the Montparnasse Tower. So uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's how it goes. But it's I guess
It's
somewhere
kind of
around.
ugly looking.
Yeah, it's ugly looking, and it's somewhere between 70 to 100 floors, which is quite common in the US, and it's
Yeah.
nowhere compared to the tallest building, right?
Yeah.
In here, wherever you see, so I think you've already been to Paris, so you know the scene, is that you have three or four floors, and they want to actually preserve the architecture. And
Yeah.
the good thing is that the planning has been done like 200 years ago, and they've just kept it. So they've not
Yeah.
added more houses. So if you want to buy or rent an apartment, it's crazy expensive here, but
Yeah.
they're at least preserving their environment.
Yeah, it has positives and negatives to it. Um, One of the positives is that aesthetically, it's quite an outstanding city.
Yeah.
And it's very romantic. And okay, so what is your on your best day, what does your ideal morning look like?
Right now,
Sure. If
uh,
this is your
okay, I'm actually in a very healthy cycle, I would say.
okay,
So I usually get up at 6 in the morning.
okay.
Um, I would say whatever I did today kind of entrusts to an ideal morning. So I get up at 6, I jog for 5 kilometers, not so much, but I try to. Sometimes I stop at 2, and then I come back, I meditate for 15 minutes, I have my breakfast, and then I listen. I've been crazy listening to audiobooks or podcasts. So
Okay.
since I'm the CTO of my company right now, I'm listening to something called a CTO Playbook by Adam Hornan.
Okay.
He's a CTO coach, but he gives audio lessons for free. So that's what I do when I'm running. But if I want to listen to songs, so I come back, I have my breakfast, I stop watching videos when I'm eating, I
Okay.
feel like that has become really productive. So I listen to audiobooks. And this kind of constitutes to almost 2 hours. So I get ready, and at 8, I get out of my house, and I come to Paris in Agronov to my startup, where I try to do some sprints, sprints in terms of project management,
Okay.
and I try to manage people around. So eight to six is almost kind of filled up in ideas, brainstorming, investors, customers, customer relation management, which is all completely new to me because I'm coming from a technical background.
Hmm.
So this is a sudden huge transformation. I'm learning a lot, but it's also challenging. So I'm usually here until 6 on a very early day, which means
Okay.
right now I'm actually at Agronov at 7:15, which is common for me. So I try to this is something different because deadlines don't govern me anymore. It's
Yeah.
just the interest that I want to do. So I'm here until 8 or 9, and then I go back, I cook some dinner, and then I listen, try to watch a movie or get some more work done. Because right now we're in the fundraising stage, so you know how that is. Like it's really progressive. So that's how my usual day is. And I feel like right now this is the best part of it, even though I'm working almost
Yeah.
24/7.
That's great to hear. You seem like brighter
Oh,
than
wow.
the last time we talked. It seems like you've grown a lot.
Wow. Okay. Since I'm seeing myself in the mirror every day, I don't feel like it. But since you've seen me after 2 years, maybe there is a slight difference.
Yeah. Now, you discussed from 6 to 8, you in the morning you are preparing for the day. Now, I think most people when they hear that, they think like, wow, that's a long time. Um, how do you view those 2 hours? Like, what's kind of your mindset with it?
I think it's time for me to get charged up for the day. That's why I instantly, I just freshen up myself a bit and then I go for running because those half an hour in the morning from 6 to 6:30 when I'm running, I tend not to think about business or company or all this stuff. And it's just me running and enjoying the nature, which makes me recharge a bit and then follows up with meditation, right? So these two aspects really makes me wonder on the things that I could actually be doing for the entire day.
Yeah.
It kind of energizes me a bit more. I don't think it's a really big wow effect because
Yeah.
almost all the people who are working almost get up a bit somewhere between 6 to 7. So it's not a big wow effect, but I feel like it's good that you do something productive at the start of the day, which kind
Hmm.
of really sets the tone for the entire day, right?
Hmm. Why do you meditate after exercise rather than before?
I think it's just a 15-20 minute hack for me to actually stop my how to say it, my breathing
Yeah.
after I finish running. So and it kind of leaves me some time to remove all the sweat that I have, but also
Okay.
concentrate on just it's okay. I meditate. I don't just meditate. I meditate by chanting a mantra, which was taught to me when I was young. Just
Okay.
a small word, but in Sanskrit, but you just keep on saying it so that
Okay.
you get your focus point right. Your
Mm.
mind doesn't drift apart a lot.
Do you verbally say it or do you say it in your mind?
I say it in my mind.
Okay.
So, it was emphasized when I was in my high school that you should not verbally say it because if you verbally say it, then you're using another aspect or another
Okay.
physical aspect, which will reduce your focal point existence. I'm not a spiritual guy, but I'm just following whatever I learned when I was in my high school.
You follow what's effective.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like a good morning. You drink coffee or tea at all?
Yeah, lots. I hate that about myself right now. I'm trying to change, but to actually not lose focus throughout the day, I have like 4 or 5 cups of black coffee. And I've
Yeah.
seen in your YouTube videos that you were on a coffee cleanse, like for 30 days, for 60 days, I don't remember.
30
But how
days,
was that
yeah.
experience for you?
Um, depressing for 2 weeks. Uh, I had done it for 10 days before, like 6 years ago, and it was really bad. The first 3 days were I probably slept like 48 of the 72 hours. It was really bad. And so I prepared for the worst. And really it was kind of like here. So it wasn't too bad. The hardest thing was just like lacking motivation to do things. Like if you're an
Right?
ambitious person and you have goals and you're trying to achieve stuff, it's like, oh, it's like your superpowers were removed from you. And and you have to go on in life without these powers.
Yeah.
Um,
That
no, it was
instant
really, it
caffeine
was,
kick, yeah, that instant caffeine kick is something else, right? Like
yeah,
you just concentrate so much on that time that it amazes you that how can you survive without that?
yeah. But see, I think I overindulged
Hmm.
throughout the years, and so my days would just be like roller coasters. I was taking like 5 or 6 espresso shots a day, and I'd be up and I'd be down, and then I'd have to go up again and then down, and then depending what time of the day it was, maybe I'd go up again. And it wasn't really, I didn't really have sleep issues, but just throughout the day, my energy would just be all over the place. And I thought, well, if I look at life, I think humans need like 4 things to survive:
Hmm.
water, food, shelter, and now I would say human connection.
Yeah.
But when I took inventory of my own life, there's this fifth thing: coffee, caffeine, that I like. The thought of being without coffee within arm's reach was always just terrifying. And so like I've changed a lot of variables in life, and the one I wasn't touching was coffee. And I was like, well, maybe it's time to address it. But I kind of designed um I moved back to a rural setting, and I immersed myself in nature. I assigned more low cognitive tasks over the 30 days.
Wow. Okay.
And it was simply just to observe the body, how it felt, and hopefully the tolerance would go down for caffeine and I wouldn't need as much. The
Did
first
it?
cup of coffee back, I felt like Neo in the Matrix. I could like see everything. It was wild, wild. Um, and then since I try to take breaks throughout the week, so I'll do like one cup of coffee like 4 or 5 days in the week.
Okay.
And it's kind of like, instead of a roller coaster now, it's kind of like a flight, an airplane flight, where you have like takeoff, and then you're cruising, and then slowly you descend and then land the plane. It's
But
quite a bit different now.
do you actually realize when you're crashing down slowly, even if it's slowly, you actually realize the point that it's going low and you don't have caffeine?
I think so. Well, now, like, say if I drink it at 10 a.m., I'll do 2 espresso shots and I'll add hot water to something like this.
Mm.
And this is actually decaf. So now I like the taste of coffee and I like the warm beverage. Um, but instead of this stimulating me, it kind of like it's just
Mm.
here to enjoy. If I drink it at 10 a.m., the effects last till 7 p.m.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that's
Yeah,
long.
it's a big difference. It's
Wow.
uh it's been interesting.
Mm. For me, I was not addicted. I feel like even now I'm not addicted because I've never actually uh, self-calculated the metrics
Okay.
behind my highs and lows. I just feel like sometimes when I'm at a low, it's probably the work that I'm doing. But uh, I feel like what you say makes sense because now that I realize it, on the days that I don't have a lot of cup of coffee, like maybe just one, my afternoons are kind of bad. So
Yeah.
even I am in that trajectory, I suppose. But it's just that, do you think it's better that I don't realize it and just go with the flow? and not drink
Yeah.
too many cups of coffees.
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's been good for me overall. And the days that I don't have coffee, I kind of have to like, okay.
Yeah.
But I think it's good for my system. It switches it up.
Mhm.
So
Interesting. Oh, yeah, and
I
coffee.
don't know. It's been quite different though, I would say. Okay, getting back to our conversation more about what you're doing. A quick question. What's the most talked about topic in Paris right now?
The Olympics, but now that it's over, it's
Yeah,
slowly receding. But it was the talk for the past 3 months.
yeah.
Yeah, it was just the Olympics. Now it was the Paralympics and maybe some political issue because the president Macron.
Mhm.
He kind of tried to because there is Macron who is at the center. I don't want to go too much into the politics, but then there is the extreme rightists
Mhm.
who, on an unofficial vote, were more than Macron, even though Macron was the president. So they kind of asked for a re-election. Macron said we can go for it, but then on a big twist, the middle and the right. So middle is Macron. So middle and the right didn't win. The extreme left won just because they didn't. People didn't want the extreme right to actually rule,
Huh.
and extreme left was not even in the competition. That was a very big, what to say, talking point the past last month, but I think
Okay.
everything has died down and Paris is again coming to a halt, like a serene halt
Okay.
right now.
Huh.
Yeah, but it's just Olympics and politics for now in Paris. But did you come to Paris for the Olympics?
No, I was there last November.
Oh yeah, yeah. Hmm. Are you planning to come this year?
Um, Probably not this year. Not on the radar. I would never mind
Hmm.
visiting Paris again.
Yeah.
Paris is great. I enjoy myself in Paris.
I think people we talked about it last on our last podcast like a couple of years ago too, that people here they emphasize on the work-life balance. They know that they don't need to work after 5.
Yeah.
After 5, you'll get an immediate response from them saying that
Oh yeah,
always
yeah.
with that
I'm out of
email
the
if you
office.
remember, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
we talked about that last time.
I remember. Yeah, it's coming back to me.
Yeah. Um, okay, since our last conversation, what has been the most rewarding experience you've had in life?
Mm. I think one of the most rewarding uh, experience is that I kind of shifted trajectories between friends and families. I wouldn't say
Okay.
rewarding, but it was a realization for me
Okay.
that uh, friends throughout, but I understood the importance of family a bit more.
Okay.
So that was a rewarding experience. I wouldn't say rewarding, but emotional and rewarding combined together. I finished my PhD, which
Yeah.
I was on track, but it was kind of a different feeling when I actually defended my PhD. So one of the most rewarding experiences. And I went to Zugspitze in Germany. It was
Okay.
like just another trip. I usually try to go on trip every month. Uh, I went to Zugspitze, which is the topmost point in Germany on the mountains,
Okay.
and it was one of the most unforgettable experiences that I could have.
Really?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was just another trip, but I think it was the trip where I didn't think about anything else and just was like on the moment there. And then it was blank and I was just there enjoying each and every aspect of it. It was amazing for me. Yeah. Zugspitze. You should actually visit Zugspitze. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's everywhere to travel. There's everywhere to experience. You know what I
But
mean?
your mind should also sometimes align with it because you set up a travel, you go there, maybe you think of something else, and you
Hmm.
actually don't enjoy that place completely. But I don't
Yeah.
know, everything aligned perfectly that when I actually went there with my friends, I was just thinking about the trip. It was calming. I was there, and I was enjoying it. But the best rewarding experience for me is me finishing the PhD.
What was your PhD on specifically?
I don't know if you remember, I was talking about gallium and nitrogen, the two
Yeah,
elements in the
yeah, yeah.
periodic table combining together. And the last time that we discussed, it was about me combining them to make a photovoltaic cell, like a solar cell. And
Mhm.
not doing that, but supposedly was supposed to do that by the end of my PhD. And I successfully did that. That's why I got my PhD.
Yeah.
And so now we have a solar cell with these two elements combined, which gives a higher efficiency when compared to the traditional silicon solar cells that we have. So it is groundbreaking. And I think there is already another PhD student after me who's working on it.
That's cool. We had a great conversation last time. We were talking about quantum mechanics and all types of physics.
Yeah.
That's your realm, and I really enjoy learning more about that. What have you learned about physics since our last conversation?
Learned about physics. I just learned that photovoltaics, where I was just deep into this one aspect, right,
Yeah.
could be used for a lot of other applications.
Mhm.
And if we combine it with other fields such as robotics or electronics, we might actually build a startup, which I
Yeah.
did on this idea. I didn't want to come to that, but this was really intriguing for me that uh, as a PhD, you just try to go deeper and deeper into just one
Yep.
specific aspect. But how to combine them and how to think just from an outside perspective was something that I learned very fast, and it was uh, it was an experience where the threshold was different.
Okay.
Threshold of every field was different, but how do you combine them together, and how do you actually think of combining them together? It was just
Mhm.
the thinking aspect of it, which was interesting for me. Yeah.
Yeah, you started a company and it's called Iris Lab, right?
Yeah. You've been
Tell me
through,
about it.
right? Oh yeah. Okay.
That's exciting. That's exciting. The last time we talked, you didn't have a company. Now you do, and it looks pretty cool.
Actually, it's a US incorporated company, because I'm going to tell you the big story about it. It's really going to be exciting. So I defended my PhD by the end of April. So almost the 29th of April. Before that, while I was preparing for my defense, I got a call from this crazy guy, Nicola, who's currently my CEO. So he's also another engineer from France, aerospace engineer. And he told me that, so you're from IPVF, which is the photovoltaic institute that I did my PhD. He told, okay, so you're a photovoltaic expert. I'm more of a drone guy. Do you think we could talk? I was like, I'm preparing for my PhD. I don't have time to talk for now. It's just in a week.
Uh-huh.
But that was impossible. So we set up a call like the day after my PhD. We went to Paris. I had a great conversation with Nicola and his friend Bastien, who is now the other co-founder. So we're three right now, and we just discussed about drones and PV. They didn't have this concrete idea, but we just brainstormed a lot, and we
Mhm.
came up. It was like a 4 or 5 hour conversation, and we kind of came up with this crazy idea that when you think about solar cells or photovoltaics, what do you think? So you harness the energy from the sun, right?
Mhm.
So and then you use it to power whatever you want. So, but the power that you actually get from the sun on these solar panels is very low. Low in the sense it can charge, but you need the panels to be really big so that you can charge bigger things. So if there are drones, the biggest challenge with drones is their autonomy. because drones are
Yeah.
flying objects, so it has a lot of uses: surveillance, robotics, like deliveries. But the biggest pain with drones is that their autonomy is only, they can actually only fly for 30 minutes before their battery needs to be charged.
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine that, but they need high power too. So you cannot just directly attach a solar panel to the drone and let the sun do its
Yeah.
work. So it's impossible. So you have a drone, sun is just light, right? So why can't you place a solar panel on a drone, let it fly, and on the ground station you have a very high power laser, and
Okay.
you point this high power laser, because with high power laser you have more energy and you have more light.
Mhm.
You point this laser towards the photovoltaic receiver on the drone while it's flying and charge the battery of the drone, so that the drone can keep on flying, keep on doing its task, and the laser can just take care of powering the drone rather than the drone interrupting its operation, coming and sitting at a station and charging. What do you think of it?
Sounds pretty high tech. Sounds pretty forward thinking.
Yeah, it is. It is high tech, and I was amazed to know that this was thought about in 1970s. So when I actually
Yeah.
did my due diligence, I was a bit disappointed because it's not like completely new idea, but people haven't implemented it, or the technology hadn't risen until now to actually implement it.
Okay.
Because the past decade, one of the reasons that I actually did a PhD in photovoltaics was that the past decade has seen an unimaginable rise in photovoltaics, going from a research aspect to a more commercialized and like product ready market. So it's
And
kind of the
your focus in physics is what is it? Photo um
voltaics. So it's solar cells.
yeah.
If you want to be simple, it's solar cells basically. Yeah, my PhD was more on solar cells using plasmas, but right now I'm not using plasmas. My reactor was using plasmas.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that I
You
was
told me about the
building,
reactor. It's
yeah,
badass, yeah.
yeah, I was building a reactor, but I think that that's one of my selling point right now when I talk to investors saying that, okay, what did you do in your PhD and what makes you good for the CTO is that I have complete hands-on experience in building a reactor from scratch. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Ooh,
maybe this guy knows about what he's talking.
yeah.
I managed to, yeah, yeah, I managed to kind of trump a lot of investors based on this small answer alone. But you know the entire work that goes behind it. It's really something else. But yeah, so the technology was this, but they thought about it in 70s, but they didn't implement it. So we thought, okay, let's do that, you know. And what we did was not just directly go on the tech, because you need people to actually understand that you're working on it. You need
Okay.
people to get hyped up. And these two guys have already thought about going through an accelerator. So there are startup accelerators. You might have heard about Y Combinator in the US, right?
Yeah, it's in Los Angeles.
Exactly. So like Y Combinator in the Europe, for mostly deep tech based startups, there is Entrepreneur First, called EF.
Okay.
I think it's also there in the US. And so we kind of applied with this idea for this core entrepreneur fest, and we found out that okay, they liked us, they liked the dynamic team, and they liked the fit, because
Mhm.
they liked the idea, but more than that, they emphasize on the fit between the co-founders. They liked that we were
Mm.
both all the three of us were young, so we went
Mhm.
in through them. We had a very intense 3 month, 2.5 month program from May. So I didn't take any break after my PhD, which was killing me because I finished it on the 29th of April. My plan was that, you know what, I'm going to take 3 or 4 months off, just go to the Himalayas and not do anything.
Yeah, yeah.
But here I was 3 days later in Paris, just on a completely different trajectory, talking about capex and opex and customer relations. I'm like, what? I don't understand any of it, but I need to accelerate to learn. So I went through Entrepreneur First for 2 months, and these 2 months were one of the crazy intense challenges for me, but we got through it. And the advantage is that once you get through Entrepreneur First, investors and VCs kind of know about you, and
Okay.
you get recognized in a way where Entrepreneur First kind of invests in you. So they give you some money to hire people so that
Okay.
you have at least some runway for the next 1 year, but they take some equity. But for us, if it's just an idea and if we have started working on a prototype, I guess this is a good deal for us to
Yeah.
take. So we went through there. And the other deal is that for them, they said, since they want to actually be as established as Y Combinator, the deal of EF was that we'll give you double the money of what we initially had planned
Okay.
if you incorporate your company to US, because you know the startup environment in the US is
Yeah.
huge. And that's the reason we have transposed to a US company by keeping all of the integrity in France. Because the engineers here, they be with you for a long term. Because in US, I think you kind of shift between jobs, engineers usually, like every year or 2 years, but here usually people are there for 5 years.
Okay.
So we keep our base here in terms of building the prototype, but in terms of attracting investors and customers, we are a US based company.
Huh.
Yeah.
So how is the process of incorporating in the US without being in the US?
I think it works. It works because you go through, you kind of sell the point that you came through EF, or Entrepreneur First. You had
Okay.
a transpose deal with them, and you just need to flip your company's rights, because right now we are on
Okay.
paper, right? So you just
Yeah.
need to do a transpose deal and flip your rights, and then the legal documentations needs to be taken care of. But it's a
Right.
good thing because if I completely focus on that, then I'll not be the tech guy. So we have our third co-founder, Bastian, who's one of the most sharpest guy that I've ever met, and he takes care of all the operations, the legals, and everything. So for him, it was like, yeah, transpose, we can do it. And I'm like, well, what? So are you sure? You're 1 year younger than me. Are you sure you can actually take care of it? And he said, yeah, I can do it. And within a week, it was done. So it was not just talk; it
Yeah.
was actually also doing the stuff.
That's such a great asset to have, just like someone who's great at paperwork and stuff.
Finances, legal, and just managing in general. At
Yeah.
such a young age. When I mean younger than me, I'll take it any day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
that's how it was born. Right now, I'm just working on the prototypes here in Paris. The other two co-founders are already in the US, in San Francisco, raising
Okay.
funds, and I'll be there by next Friday. That's why I was thinking whether we could meet, but I don't know where you're situated in the US exactly. Maybe not in San Francisco.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in the Midwest,
Ah,
Central Time.
okay. Yeah, it's a
Um,
long run.
that's cool. Have you been to the States before?
No, this is my first time. I had a huge process with the visa, but it's done now. I'm definitely coming.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's crazy. For me, I mean, if I wanted to give you an example, these guys are of a French nationality, right? My
Uh-huh.
co-founders. For them, it was like a 2 hour process. They applied and they got the answer in
Yeah.
2 hours. So for me, of an Indian nationality, I actually had to apply for an interview at the embassy here. Okay. And
Yeah.
the earliest date available for an appointment. So I applied in August, okay, and I had to go in a week. Just guess what was the earliest appointment date available for me.
2 weeks?
It was in March 2025.
What?
Yes. They say that the backlog can be for 6 months, so you might not have the opportunity. So you have to anticipate like in January that you're traveling in October. And I'm saying in January I was just writing my PhD thesis.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I was actually going, but yeah, but Entrepreneur First helped me with the process. My other co-founder Bastien, as I said, he's good. So he I didn't know what happened behind the scenes, but I got an interview appointment within like 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was
So
like
Entrepreneur
right.
First, that's the incubator in Paris. The like,
No, that's Agronov. So
okay.
we are in a lot of places right now. Okay.
Okay.
So let me explain this scenario. So Agronov is for startups, okay? Which means that I go through here so that we have a working space.
Yeah.
One of first is the accelerator. I mean, they also have a working space, but they give us advice, they give us money, they give us mentors. So it's more a different scenario. But another part of it that I'm also at IPVF right now, my PhD institute, because we got a grant from them for this idea where I built the solar cell for the prototype. If you remember, I'm saying that we charge the drone with a PV cell, right? So I actually have to build the cell itself, which I'm doing at IPVF. So we are situated in two places.
Yeah.
Because I cannot do a cell just like robotics where I have screws.
You can't just go to the store and pick up the parts.
I'm developed. We have reactors there, so we need to do some kind of high tech stuff. So yeah, I'm in the lab right now.
How many ideas that were thought about in the 20th century were not capable because of the technology at the time, and now the technology is at a place where these ideas could happen? How far has the technology come in general from the 1970s, which you had mentioned, to the 2020s that makes things a lot more possible?
I think almost everything related to electronics and robotics has seen a great rise because people just had visions and ideas. Giving my example itself, they had really elaborate papers with really good numbers explaining what could happen if we could wirelessly transmit power. Because in 1970s, they had created ways to develop a solar cell, but it was not commercial yet, but they had it was again in papers, right? So this was one example. But if you consider anything like a drone itself, in 1970s, it was just a paper dream. Of having enough power so that you could power the wings and you could actually make an object go up. Right? In a small scale. 1970s, they were at. When was the first flight? Like aircrafts? I think 1970s was already there with aircrafts, right?
Okay.
If I could remember. Yeah.
You're talking drones?
Yeah, I'm just talking about drones, like miniaturized version of flying things.
I don't know that answer. No.
And that only happened, miniaturized version of drones only happened because the transistors and the electronic chips became smaller and smaller. I don't know if you know about Moore's law in electronics, where every 1.5 years, the size of the transistor chips become half. I don't know. I'm not sure of the dynamics and the numbers exactly, but it's something like that. And just because of that, people could miniaturize big circuits into small chips. And you could do something like drones. So that was electronics, and theoretical physics was. I still think that it's evolving at the same pace, or even slower when compared to what people were doing before. Because right now people have the necessity, no, have the access to get distracted easily. So to actually just find a single solution, it's a bit hard. But anything involving electronics has seen a significant rise, which could only be imagined with some hardware that we have. Physics in itself, I cannot comment on quantum because I'm quite a bit distant from it now, even though I did some in my PhD. But what else is there? What about chemistry? What about I mean, have you actually thought about this? Maybe I'm just diving too much into the tech, but if you think about in chemistry, why are people finding it hard to actually find new element? Because the last new element found was like 30 years ago. Right? There are still just 111 or 112 elements. So why couldn't people do that? Is it just because that's all we could find on Earth, or is there some other progress or process that is hindering? So I feel like in terms of just identifying elements alone to do new stuffs,
Mm-hmm.
there has been some hindrance in chemistry, but people have identified how to say a workaround for that. Instead of new elements, they're trying to combine elements to actually
Yeah.
build stuff to do new things. So that's exciting. Yeah. But just talking about my material itself, gallium nitride, I would say the concept of gallium nitride was somewhere around 1950s,
Okay.
but they started developing the material in 1970, but they failed a lot.
Huh.
And they actually succeeded in doing it in 1990s. So it's not a new material that I
Yeah.
did, but it's a new application for that material, which I did by creating it in a different way, if you could understand.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Do you feel that like within physics today more so it's not necessarily new physics that's emerging, but it's the application of physics in addition combined with technology that enables us to just
Yeah,
do all this stuff?
I mean that's exactly the point because if new physics has emerged, then Einstein's theory would have already been wrong, right? Like there would have been
Mm-hmm.
new equations which says E equals mc squared is wrong because we have found some particles, some new particles
Yeah.
which are faster than the speed of light, like antiproton. People say antiprotons. They like to say antiprotons in movies, but I don't think that's even a thing. Uh, but yeah, for me, it's new physics, quite not so much, but combining existing physics with the advancements in technology has given rise to a lot of new things.
Yeah.
But that kind of makes me wonder on are we becoming dumb when compared to the people who were there like Einstein and a lot of other physicists? Because or have we reached a saturation in terms of just
Mm.
not discovering anything new because there is only so much to discover.
We don't know until we keep looking and keep failing, right?
Yeah, I
Is that
think
what's
the only
happening?
new thing that we could discover in physics is teleportation or
Yeah.
just something, yeah, it's teleportation. People
Hmm.
haven't thought of a solution for that.
Probably not in our lifetime.
Hmm. But it could be, it's just not, it just doesn't seem real. People are talking about quantum entanglement, Alice and Bob. There's a photon which is moving here, which sees the photon moving here, but still they're talking in femtosecond scale, femto or nano scale. We as humans are in the meter scale.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like the hardest part would be assembling the atoms back together.
Yeah. But what's the number one rule of Einstein? Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, right?
Yeah.
So if you know that you're not a solid, you're not connected, all the atoms are just gravitation
Yeah.
forces, small atomic forces. So if they are disintegrating, it means that they need to be created at some other place exactly the same way, and they are energy, they are particles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of breaks the rule that we have been following for the
So
past
you,
100
yeah,
years.
because you're not, okay, I get it. Like you're not destroying it. You would have to move those particles.
Without destroying you.
But then things are the way they are because of how they're assembled, right? So who's to say if you're just on such a small scale, just slightly off, it's not the original anymore.
Yeah, it's basically giving birth to a new person,
Yeah.
unless it's precise in a femtosecond scale, which is which seems impossible for now. But we have no bounds. Something might happen in 100 years where we would be able to do that, right?
Yeah. I mean, before it's tested on humans would be a long and a lot of paperwork away.
Yeah. They might test it on mice because they have a similar,
They'll test it on a lot of different stuff before humans.
just not humans at first. Yeah.
What do you, okay, right now, what do you think is the biggest problem that could theoretically be solved by technology and benefit humanity the most?
I think if it's just advancement in technology that is hindering something, it's individual transportation
Okay.
while like driving a car or your individual vehicle on air. It'll kind of solve a lot of traffic issues, especially in crowded cities, right? But
Mhm.
and we have established technologies like drones and unmanned aerial vehicles. It's just that people are afraid to take the first step towards it, that they can actually be there as a pilot and travel around.
Hmm.
You understand? Because the technology is there,
So you're
but
saying that's more of a human element, though,
yeah, there's more of
right?
a human element, but there's also hindrance in terms of the weight or the power of the technology. But maybe
Okay.
laser power transfer could be a solution for that. That could be at the forefront of it.
So like individual, like moving of one person to another place. Right now we have a lot of traffic on the ground, so it congests. So there's not a quick way for a person to transport their self, their
Yeah.
physical body to another place.
Mhm.
Um,
That is a problem, but teleportation is a solution for that. But we don't have the advancements in we don't have we need to invent new physics to actually do that.
yeah.
But to implement just the technology that we already have to tweak it a bit is it's unmanned aerial vehicles, but with a person in it, so that you have enough power to actually fly, or suits like Iron Man, But
That'd be
that's
sick.
gonna create a mess. Yeah, yeah. But because if you give us power, then yeah, a lot of negative aspects might also be there.
So a lot of the technological, groundbreaking, world-changing things would be held up by humans and paperwork and getting things passed,
Just
right?
so that there is no easy access to destroy something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
Hmm.
I think that's why we have regulatory bodies, right? Just
Yeah.
managing these things and trying to avoid the growth of technology in a lot of aspects. I feel like it's good that it's there because if there is no control on it, then it's gonna be chaotic everywhere,
Yeah.
and we don't want that.
Well,
But
we want, instead of chaos, we want things to flow better. Um,
yeah, but are you a good Samaritan? Even if you are, is everyone else around you? Because
yeah.
someone might just want to explore destructive stuff, right?
Right. I think that's why it's not chaotic and regulatory bodies
Yeah,
control the
exactly.
flow. Um, I feel like one of the biggest energy and electricity are like the biggest issues this century. Like everything we use is needs power, electricity, and if
Electricity comes under energy, so it's energy.
so energy, yeah, yeah,
Energy, yeah. And the future and even the present sometimes is renewable energy,
yeah.
right? Because we are almost depleting our nuclear energy resource. It's crazy. It's crazy how fast we're going. In this case, it's gonna be almost depleted to 95% in the next 50 years.
Okay.
50 years. So no nuclear power plants, so no, almost 70% of the earth is actually being powered by nuclear power plants right now. So imagine that if it's not there, then we need to focus on renewable energy and how efficient can we harness renewable energies. I think the current researchers are almost focusing on that in every aspect, be it solar, be it wind, be it turbine, or like water.
Hmm.
It's all the case. But yeah, energy. If you somehow find a really efficient way to use the resource whichever is available to you naturally
Hmm.
to gain or get energy, like really high amounts of energy without disrupting your environment. When I mean environment, I don't mean like trees or something like that. I mean just without disrupting your local environment,
Hmm.
you'll get a Nobel. You'll get a Nobel Prize. I'm sure. If you actually start thinking about it and working on it in the next 10 years, you might get a Nobel if you solve the issue.
So then what prevents that from happening? I feel like there's a
No,
lot of,
I think what prevents that from happening is the ability to actually get a solution. Like think. I think we are limited. Our brain, how to say, curves and nerves are only extrapolated so that our imagination is. We say that it's limitless, but if it's limitless, then we should have found a solution for that sooner.
so you think it's more of an imagination problem?
Imagination combined with whatever resources we have right now.
Yeah. So instead of gallium and nitrate, it's like a combination of imagination and the resources we have.
That's one way to put it. Oh yeah, yeah,
Gallium and nitrogen, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I think it'll be interesting. I mean, even right now, it's really interesting to just observe the world and the technology and advancements within 1 years, 2 years, the last 5 years. It's gonna be really interesting to see 5 years from now, like what exists, you know?
Like 20, 15 years ago, even mobile phones, like electronics in your pocket was a dream. And now
Yeah.
it's in everybody's things. But I feel like, don't you feel like it's getting stagnant in a way where it's getting slower and slower for progression?
I
Because
feel like there's less,
things to do, like less things to explore.
I feel like there's less hardware and it's more software. Like we keep updating the software rather than hardware.
And that's because we keep updating the software where we envision that one day the software itself can create something which can do hardware on its own, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay, I sometimes uh get into this debate with people. It's not a debate, but hardware or software, like which is more important, acknowledging that both are necessary for each
no,
other.
no, it's necessary, but what is hardware? Is you hands-on doing something mechanically or
Yeah.
electronically, whatever it is, to do something. Like, don't you think that so what is your level of precision? It's not in nanometers. You cannot do stuff with your hands in nanometers or meters.
Mhm.
Uh, the more precision that you have, the more hardware or better hardware oriented you'll be. And
Mhm.
who do you think does a better job, you or a robot, in doing hardware stuff?
The
Not
robot would.
thinking hardware stuff, just doing hardware
Just
stuff.
hardware, yeah.
Robot. And what controls the robot?
The human.
Software.
Software.
Yeah. So basically, advancements in software is going to be advancements in hardware. Hardware is just attaining its threshold. It's just reaching saturation to a point
Yeah.
where it comes under this big uh, globe of software.
Okay.
So I feel like it's all intertwined, and there should never be a discussion about hardware or software, especially in this generation. I feel like software is engulfing hardware like crazy.
See, I'm on team software, but
Yeah.
then I get other people who are like, well, you can't have software has no value without hardware. Yeah, it's just like
No, it's the other way around. It's
it's a
the other
fun
way
discussion. Yeah.
around. I mean, I should actually be rooting to hardware because I'm a deep tech startup founder.
Yeah.
I focus more on hardware, but I realize where the world is going and how important software is for this hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it's a debate that we can have to spend some time, usually with people, but it's pointless.
Software. I'm really
Don't you agree?
appreciative of the people who advance the software
Yeah, and
and
it's
hardware and
advancing
everybody
like
doing their
crazy.
job. But yeah.
It's software is advancing like crazy, especially with AI and
Yeah.
ChatGPT. Yeah, it's crazy. The level of speed with which it actually can give you some information and the level of depth in that information, the more it's learning, the more it's evolving. You know that, right? We are actually paying for a ChatGPT monthly subscription to actually train that model for their company.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, with every information that you put, it's just
Yeah.
using its iterative algorithm to learn more and adapt more to your needs, not just to your need, but just on a worldly perspective of how people think.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like 3 years ago it was giving some random bullshit answers and now it's giving more advanced and user interfaced answers?
Yeah. I
Maybe
don't interact much with ChatGPT, but I interact with other AI tools and it's getting better and
crazy.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting for me on I want to get involved in this AI and LLMs, like machine learning models, but I feel like if I start to do that, then I'll be, bits and pieces everywhere. So
Yeah.
I want to focus on what I'm good at, but I also want to get into that community just to learn on how things are progressing.
Huh.
Uh,
What's your favorite consumer electronics device or what you're most grateful for?
you're asking tough questions to me. I need to think about this a
They're
bit.
hard hitting.
Consumer electronics right now. I would say maybe this might be completely different from what I've been doing for the past 6 months, but I would say it's my PlayStation
Which one do you have?
5.
Okay.
It's just that whenever I need to, I always see it with joy, you know,
Okay.
even though there is a startup and there's a lot of electronics that I use, sometimes I have disappointments with it just because my work is not progressing. But even with the phone, sometimes get anxious if I receive some customer emails or
Yeah.
that a delivery shipment is delayed. But I always see joy or have joy when I'm operating the PS5, right? So for
That's
me,
interesting.
it's always the PlayStation because that's something that I can look forward to for just satisfaction.
Huh. I get that. So it's interesting. You're attaching your emotions
With
to your
electronics,
interactions. Oh,
oh, that's not a good way to actually go because you need to actually separate your emotions and
I
keep
know.
electronics aside. But I think I'm at a phase in life where I don't have time to actually separate both of these things, and I just have to combine both of them together.
Yeah. The world's an interesting place right now.
Oh, it is. It is really.
Does it feel like a sort of transition in a way?
For me, it was a big transition. Oh, no, but I think I stopped you in a question where you were supposed to ask some different questions, so I'll continue.
Well, I was asking more broadly if it feels like a transition in the world with technology and culture and I don't know.
I think the culture is more integrated into the technology because in early 2000s, they were just two completely different things
Hmm.
because the technology was not accessible to everyone. So
Yeah.
large masses of people actually couldn't relate to technology. But right now,
Hmm.
it's just embedded with you. You know the dopamine effect that you get every time you scroll Instagram or something. So it's embedded into you. I don't think you can even if you're just the regular user, you cannot even spend like an hour or two away without it. So your culture and your proactiveness, your thoughts are all a collective which cannot coexist without electronics.
Mm.
In a way, they it's basically saying that they influence the way you think. They influence your culture. No?
I agree that that's what the world kind of has become. I think right now we're at the point of like understanding that, but also how individually we're going to go about living our lives with that understanding. Like technology has, like, we can't beat the technology. We're not going to stop this like fusion of just technology all in our lives.
Yeah. But the level of discontinuity or continuity that you have with
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
kind of determines where you'll be in the society, which groups you'll mingle with, how your culture
Mm.
and life is going to be, right? So,
I was thinking more in like an individual term, less collective of, you discussed dopamine. You mentioned dopamine and like, how do you personally interact with all the technology and the choices you make? And
I think it comes back to your level of addiction and how you can control it, right?
yeah.
Because if you're self-aware that you're using and you are able to stop it, then it's good for you. It comes to a point where it doesn't control you and you are having thoughts and your decisions are not completely indulged through it. But yeah, I don't think I think yeah, the question is if the individuality kind of plays a role here, and how can we differentiate between individuals based on that?
That's what I'm sort of getting at, is like it's almost like the education needs to drive home that point. Like you talked about the self-awareness and able to step back.
Mhm.
If you're not really taught that or provided the fundamentals to do that, you're just like consumed by it.
Mhm. Education drives that. Uh, education doesn't drive that directly. As you said, it's like your thought process kind of changes that just because you become more analytical uh,
Mhm.
through your education. But don't you think it's also the way you're brought up and the group that you associate with who ultimately decide on where you're going to be?
Environmental, I think that plays a large role. At the end of the day, the individual is responsible for their self, though, right? But it's
Yeah.
definitely hard if their environment is um,
Okay, so when I
somewhat
say
like that.
okay, yeah, I think education is more of a lever here than environmental. Environmental can come second, but yeah. So you're saying that if you have a proper education, you will be self-aware to not get in too much indulged in these things where electronics kind of governs you and you get addicted.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm, makes sense.
It's like we have to create like a new playbook for how to live life with all this stuff, rather than before it was pretty rigid and um
Yeah, but it will be a bestseller if we try not to condemn the electronics part in here by saying, as
I
you said,
agree 100%.
it's to live with it. It's
It's like understanding how we can use it intentionally to enhance our life experience.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think when we talk again in the podcast, you'll kind of come up with a book saying, you remember we discussed about it last time?
Yeah.
I'm actually expecting that from you. For
I'm
our
gonna
next
what I'm gonna try to
conversation.
do with that one because I'm writing some fiction right now,
Oh yeah.
and actually a big thread of it is technology and its role in society, I would say. Um, but I want to try out Chat GPT with writing.
In what way? Just say that you have this vision and uh, type that vision to it and let it formalize it into a
I don't
book.
know, I because I've never actually used it for writing, so I don't know how it actually
It's
is or what
really
its capabilities are.
it's really apt for grammar, and it kind of drives you for you can just have a vision, but you don't need it to be perfect. But for a big book, it needs to be more readable and friendly. I would say more friendly for the consumer,
So
right?
if I wrote a fiction book right now, and then I gave it to Chat GPT and said, "This is my vision. Use this writing style."
It'll do it. Yeah, it'll do it really good. But more on that, don't you think that the exciting part is you thinking about the story for a fiction, but the
Yeah,
hardest
it's so
part
fun.
comes.
And writing
Yeah,
every single
yeah,
line.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hardest part comes in transition. But if you that'll do, ChatGPT is going to do that for you.
it could create a rough draft, a first
Yeah,
draft, and
and
then
you can enjoy reading it, and you can
yeah,
tell ChatGPT to adapt in ways with how you want it to be, and then
yeah.
it'll do it on its own.
Or the exciting part would be the editing. So then the real like artistry of it is the second draft and then working with the material
Yeah.
that, you know,
It's gonna be it's gonna be amazing because the hardest part is to start something, to write your first word, to put something on a
yeah.
book. If you already have that, it's gonna be great. You
If
can have
Chat GPT gets you a head start with 80,000 words, you're
yeah.
like, all right, here we go.
I don't think it's gonna print 80,000 words just in its interface, but you can ask it to provide you with a document. But you know what I mean?
Okay.
Just say that you need these many words. This is your vision, but like elaborate on the specifics as much as possible because
Yeah.
you're just typing whatever is on your mind, so it's going to be easy for
Yeah.
you. You don't need to worry about how it's going to look, and it's going to take each of those specifics into account. It doesn't need a format to actually understand the specifics. As long as you are clear with the specifics, it's going to give something to you based on those specifics.
But you said it can't do 80,000 words?
It can do, but
Okay.
it cannot just print those 80,000 words in
You
its
need to give it
interface.
specificity.
No, you give it specificity, and
Okay.
in the end you say, I need these many words, give it to me in a document. Because otherwise it's just gonna print the story on its interface. And it's
Oh, okay. I got
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. It's gonna stop after like 5,000 or 10,000 words, and it's gonna say it has reached its limit. Yeah, but for the document you need to have a premium subscription.
Okay. Well, switching gears a little bit, what song are you playing on repeat recently?
Yeah, this is a bad habit of mine because I'm really conventional in a way where if I listen to some songs 5 years ago, I
Mhm.
just keep on trying to listen to it and not go to too many new songs. But the way that I actually go to new songs is when I watch some movie or a series, which
Okay.
happens rarely these days, there are some background musics that are happening in there, which really bodes well with the video and it kind of hits your emotion, right? I
Yeah.
mostly take songs like that. One of it was I watched a series called Rookie. I don't know if I think you know about Rookie with
Yeah, the Marvel.
no, Rookie. It's this
Oh,
guy
okay.
Nathan Fillion. You know Nathan Fillion as a rookie cop at that age. Yeah, so it's kind
Okay.
of I wouldn't say it's a sitcom, but it's a really good series. Just for you to not think too much and just enjoy.
Yeah.
And there was like this third season at the end where Usually every episode ends chaotic, but this was really warm and friendly. And they kind
Okay.
of played it out with the music called We Could Have It All. It's from a band called RTYL. Uh, Wait, I'm not even sure that it's RTYL. Okay, I'm gonna quickly. Yeah, it's RIYL. We Could Have It All. So that's on repeat for me because it really aligned well with the video. But I feel like
Okay.
if you listen to it for more than 20 or 30 times, it's gonna get boring to you. It was nice. I'm listening to them.
RIYL, right?
Yeah, RIYL,
Yeah.
and We Could Have It All. Uh, I'm listening to, so that's one. And the other one was, mm, yeah, I'm just going through my music video. Yeah, the NSYNC song uh, from the Deadpool and Wolverine. Bye, bye, bye.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Classic.
it's it's pretty basic, these songs, but I don't know. I kind of like it. It
Yeah.
depends on the activity I'm doing at that point. If I'm in the gym, I kind of listen more to metallic bands and motivational songs like Hall of Fame or Walk on Water. 30 Seconds to Mars, you know about that band?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's songs like that. But if I'm more in a general mood, I listen to these songs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
What
What do
about
you
you?
what's that?
What about you? Your go-to song now?
It switches like every week. And this week is a song called Together by Miami Horror.
I've never heard of them. But yeah, I'll put it in my suggestion.
Yeah, the other one last week was La Vida es un Carnaval by Celia Cruz. I like
No.
listening to a lot of like upbeat, um,
Pop kind of songs.
dancey, groovy, poppy kind of stuff.
Okay.
Um, I would say those. Miami Horror is a band I love, and they're about to put out a new album, the first one since like 2015. So I'm getting
Wow.
pumped for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, like it's way too long. I don't know,
Do
but
they have concerts?
what's that?
Do they have concerts that you might visit?
The last time they were on tour was right before COVID. I went to a show in 2019 in November. That was pretty
Oh.
cool. Um, yeah, actually, I listen to a lot of French music, like French house, new disco. There's a band called L'Impétrice.
Yeah, I'm not into French music. I'm sorry. I know that I live in Paris, but
Uh,
I don't even listen to a lot of Indian music these days. It's just in English. I don't know why.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you curious about recently?
I'm just curious about managerial positions. I know it's again slightly boring towards
Okay.
a startup. I'm sorry, but I was just I've never. I mean, I have managed students,
Okay.
but I'm a bit curious about how the top executives manage their role because I
Mm,
find that a bit challenging,
okay.
and I want to know how people delegate these tasks easily so that they actually have a function rather than worrying
Okay.
about everything.
Mm,
That has been on my mind, and every day when I usually travel back to home and when I come back. So it's yeah,
so it's
yeah,
something that's always on your mind. Yeah.
yeah. I need a like as a tech guy, I need number or I need like a one sentence solution exactly saying what it is. I don't want it to
Okay.
be philosophical saying, everything is right or everything is wrong. No, I need an answer for that question and I cannot seem to find it.
That's interesting.
Or maybe
Yeah.
there is no answer, it's just different people doing it in a different way. But
Yeah.
I don't like that answer, and I'm on the quest to find a proper answer.
Okay. Last question. What are you energized for in the next 6 months?
Energized for? I'm energized for damn, you're asking hard questions again. I cannot actually converts to a single answer now. I think I think I'm energized for where I'm gonna be in 6 months.
Okay.
Just excited about my trajectory. I'm energized for. Can I just say that I'm excited about rather than I'm energized? You know?
Sure. See, I've taken excited out of my vocabulary and I substitute energized for it.
Okay.
So excited to me seems like anxious and not in control, whereas energized feels more direct and
Yeah.
focused.
Okay. I have been into cooking different cuisines of country. I've already done seven, but there are 193 countries almost. So maybe in the next 6 months, this is one thing that I'm energized about is that I will try learning these different cuisines. And
That's cool.
this is something else which I consider it as a challenge, but I would say that I'm more energized about this. That I've been in France for the past 3.5, almost 4 years right now, but still I'm not at a conversational level of French because it was not needed until now. I was in a
Okay.
very international environment, but I think I've kickstarted like 2 weeks ago on learning French in a really uh, fast way,
Mhm.
fast way or more. Uh, a repeated way where
Yeah.
I don't tend to forget it for like a week or something.
Mhm.
So I just repeat it. So I'm energized about speaking to you in French or maybe just learning conversational French in six
Yeah.
months.
Where do you think technology is going to be with translating languages in the next 5 years?
I think it's already doing a great job, no?
It's
But
decent.
you mean in terms of just someone speaking and you having a device which can actually translate it instantly to you in English, like just
Probably like in a way where if someone wanted to travel and say they were going to go fly to,
yeah,
let's
I
just say,
understand. I
like,
understand the what you're getting at. It's just
yeah.
that the technology is already there,
Uh-huh.
but it's just lacking the latency, which is to translate it in a way where everything happens within milliseconds, so
Yeah.
that within a second, whatever they're doing kind of gets back to you, and you're
Yeah.
able to actually
The feed
transcribe it.
is
Yeah,
quick.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just the speed, and it's just the speed and the level of miniaturization that is required, so that you don't carry like a big box
Yeah.
to translate. So I think I feel like this is something that could be done in the next 5 to 10 years, and we could. I mean, 10 years is being really slow. It could be done within the next 5 years, and we could have real translation devices where the language barrier will be broken.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
That's like a putting together a puzzle that like
Mhm.
any human on earth could just go somewhere and then understand and speak
I
the
think AI is
language.
going to play a crucial role in it.
Mm,
I feel like it because you know that when you compare Google Translate or DeepL, which are like the go-to translation websites or interfaces, ChatGPT is doing a better job of translation, a
mm,
more accurate job of translation. But we don't care about accuracy, we just care about latency again. And latency
mm,
again comes back to software, right?
mm.
How much can the software actually handle? But they are doing a pretty good job on it. So I feel confident.
Yeah. I was in Mexico City staying with a family, and at breakfast for like an hour and a half, I'm talking with someone, communicating with somebody who doesn't speak English, and she's talking really fast, and I have Google Translate up, And Google Translate's like, I don't know, man. Like it couldn't pick up all the nuances and things like that. So I ditched the phone and I'm just trying to like figure it out. And I studied more nonverbal communication
Yeah,
and communicating nonverbally rather than verbally. Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Just from the expressions, right? Like, okay, you're angry. I'm gonna stop
Yeah.
looking at you right now.
Yeah. There's no anger. It was all love, but it was interesting to just observe that something like Google Translate just was ineffective
Yeah.
in the very moment of just small communication or conversation with
Mhm.
another human. Yeah. So many possibilities
Oh
in the
yeah, it's true.
future.
It's true.
Uh,
Definitely.
all right, Lakshman, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for sharing what you've been working on, what you've been learning. It's been really enjoyable. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope we meet again soon, not in 2 years, but rather quickly and in person.
Yeah. Where would be the best place? Paris?
Paris would be ideal, but we can meet anywhere. We're globetrotters now, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
All right. Thank you again.
Thank you, Rich. Have a nice day.